Yeah, Freight Fridays, we back, fellas.
We
We
back
are
full effect.
back. How you?
Hey, they had your boy locked up, clink clink, when I'm out.
Yeah, we had to put it on the Zoom now because your boy locked up. So now he's free, you know. But yeah, man, what's going on? Tell me a little bit what's going on with you guys, man. What you got going on?
I'm gonna let Alante go first,
What you
man.
got going on, Lante?
Man, just tomorrow's is my birthday, and tomorrow's a moment of reflection.
Right.
Just thinking about all the things I want to have, all the things I want to be. Um, in 4 years, I'm going to be 40.
Yep.
So
Wow.
yeah, so from here, and that's a time most people go to school time period and go get their bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
within these 4 years, upcoming, what do my 40 look like?
Right.
What do 10 years look like? How am I setting up my life right now
Right.
to where I'm 40 and I'm on the south of France, celebrating our 200th podcast.
Yeah.
You,
right,
you, you
right.
know, and
Yeah.
we're doing and we're out of this world. But I appreciate you guys, man. When we first started this podcast, it was just a whim, a thought, just trying to educate people. And
Right.
now we've got to the point to where we're consistent and we can kind of be the voice of reason in the industry.
Right.
Right,
Right.
right.
What you got going on, CDL?
Man, to be honest with you, man, I'm going through a struggle right now because the struggle that I'm going through is all this information that I've accumulated throughout the years and everything, and trying to be a driver's advocate. It really kind of bothers me
Mm-hmm.
because now I'm starting to look at things from a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I take up for the owner operators, but I take up for the company drivers too, because a lot of people forget, about the company drivers and just that, and just marriage, trying to operate, how to be
Yeah.
a good husband in this economy, in this world, being a good husband, from a trucker standpoint,
Right.
things of that nature. Because I get tested too, I'm a man, I'm human, I get tested, but
Right.
so I'm trying to operate that, and it's the summertime, so vacation time as well. So you got work-life balance. You
Right.
understand? So
Right.
yeah. But what about you, Marcus? What you got going on?
Man, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a whirlwind of things,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I kind of got out the trucking business and
Mm-hmm.
just to take a break from that, and it's been a whirlwind, and you kind of lose your identity a little bit, right? That's
Yeah.
the thing you talk about, especially as trucking, and when you're in the trucking period, you start to kind of lose your identity because you're like, this is all I know, this is all I've been doing for the past 3 years, right? So you
Right.
kind of go through a period where you got to adjust and kind of just let everything kind of figure itself out. But I just like the support that we've been getting, been putting up the Freight Fridays episodes back up. That's kind of why we back.
Right.
And also, too, it just feels good because even though I'm not technically in the industry as a owner standpoint, I'm still in the industry because what we bring. And I
Right.
think that's the thing that I was struggling with is like, okay, I don't want to do this because I'm not actually in the industry. But I feel like to do what we do, you can't really be in the day to day because, like you said, it's so much information, it's so much things that we're giving. So that's how we're in the trucking industry. We're the ones
Yes.
giving the information. We're the ones putting it out there. We're the one doing the marketing and just being
Yes.
able to give these people this information because you know why they drive it. So,
Right.
but everything's been good, man. It's like finding yourself. Marketing is my thing. Building up the late bloomer media, doing that. But this is a great catalyst because also I'm helping people. That's what it's about. Kind of finding your purpose.
Yes.
Just attaching it to one industry, just attaching it to just helping people. And
Right.
it's still cool, even though I'm not in it like that. But people still ask me for information. I still get DMs about how do I do this? Are you doing consulting? Are you ever going to, so you get those things. So you're like, okay, cool, I'm needed. I
Mhm.
don't want to be ever looked at as a fraud. Like, oh, he not in the business. It's like, no, I was in the business and I made millions. So,
Yeah.
but it's just like now it's like, okay, I feel good doing the marketing, putting the information out there, and then teaming up with the brothers. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what we do. You know,
Yeah. For me, I don't think you would ever be looked at as a fraud because you have a CDL, bro.
I still got it.
You still got it, and you had, and let's say if you let it go, you had a CDL. You feel
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So for me, that's a big thing, and that's one of the things that I've been struggling with. trying to get people understand that because bro, these company drivers get treated like crap. The owner operators get treated like crap by people that don't have a CDL and don't know what it takes to be a driver. The day
Right.
to day consistency, the day to day driver work life. You know, they could care less about that. They just care about getting that freight from point A to point B. But
Mhm.
what happens in between with that driver? And
Right.
it's so much disrespect that goes on because they don't understand the driver. I was working for this one company, um, and I read some reviews on them, and some reviews on them was from uh, people that have left the company, but they were like higher ups in
Mhm.
the office, and they would say stuff like sometimes they would have to go to a store to meet a driver because a driver was making a delivery to that store, and they would say things like in the reviews they would say things like, yeah, the job could be stressful, especially when you're waiting on a driver to show up to a store and they take hours, or if you get to a dock and open up the trailer, if the load has shifted because a driver was driving crazy. I don't think that's fair because you don't understand, a car might have cut that driver off.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Or
It wasn't
okay,
loaded properly.
or it wasn't loaded properly,
Right.
correct.
Right.
Or you talk about waiting at a store because you're waiting for a driver that took forever. Let's put that in context. It
Right.
might have been an accident. It might have been a fatality. The ambulance might have shut down the road. Just here the other day in Charlotte, they had a police standoff with a woman standing in the middle of the road
I seen
waving a
that.
gun.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
waving a gun. So that could cause driver delay.
Right.
But
Mhm.
then when you have people that's not in the truck, they get mad at us, but they don't put it in context.
Right.
So I commend you for having a CDL, brother,
Yeah.
and I would never look at you as a fraud.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's the one thing that I experienced, running my company is a lot of people will blame the driver. The
Yes.
driver is this, the driver is that, the driver is this. Why is this driver late? You know, and it's one of those things like, okay, there are some situations where the driver can be late if he's not being productive, he's not on his job and not doing what he's supposed to do. But a lot of times it's like you said, they're driving a truck. They're driving from
Hmm.
point A to point B. So many things can happen. And like you said, the people that's never been in the truck would never understand that. They just think that,
Never
oh, it's
understood.
supposed to be here at 8. Why is it late? Well, like you said, what if he was in traffic and there was somebody had to stand off with police and they didn't move traffic for 4 hours?
Right.
You can't explain that. And then it's like, I dealt with that when I was, working with my big contract. Well, why is this person late? Well, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they don't want to believe you, but like, look, there's been times I had to pull out the like because when we talk about weather, you're going to certain places and about, oh, the weather's terrible and they don't believe you. So what you can do is it's like a pro tip. What you can do is you can look at it because every interstate has cameras. So what you
Yes.
do is you can go on there for free, say, hey, this person's in Texas and he's right here. You can go on there and get the camera shots and send it to the shipper.
Mhm.
Mm.
There's so many times I've been saying thousands of dollars because the shipper was going to find me or take money from me, and I had to go in there and find the interstate pictures and send it to him. And by look at this time, look at the trucks. Nobody's moving, and then it gives you a time lapse. See, a lot of people don't know that when you run a trucking company, you can look and find the cameras from the interstate, and you can get it, you can save it, and then you can send it to whoever you need to send it to save
Mm.
to save your ass.
Mhm.
And see, that's good right there. A lot of people
Good.
need to know
A lot of
that,
people don't know that.
especially these new on operators. Like
Yeah.
you just taught me something I didn't even know that.
I
Yeah.
didn't
So
know that either.
that's a good tool for on operators, brokers, and dispatchers
That's what
and
I'm saying.
shippers.
That's the biggest thing. And it's like, because I've saved thousands. I'm telling you, thousands of dollars. Because they be like, oh no, we're gonna dock you, because you working with a big company. Oh, we gotta dock you because you late, this and that. You be like, all right, hold on. And I go look it up, look at the time lapse. But it's sad
Yeah.
that you have to do that, but you have to know there's tools out there that, like you said, we don't know.
Mhm.
Right.
And then you be like, oh, what? Every interstate, every freeway has cameras.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you can go in and find the camera and then you can get it. You can time lapse it because it shows the whole day. So you can be like, what happened at 11 a.m., 12 p.m.
Mhm.
It,
Yeah.
and then you can time lapse it, then you just send it. That's how
Yeah.
That,
you save money.
that can be valuable too, especially in insurance as well, because you got to think so many people. especially in places like Atlanta. You know, it's hit a truck, sewer truck.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to kind of get in front of a truck and swerve and slam on brakes. Or
Oh yeah, that's Cali too for sure.
Cali. I think
That's Cali for sure.
the most infamous places in the country for, if I'm not incorrect about this, I think it's Florida,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a vacation state. It's Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's somewhere like Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm.
it's hit a truck, sewer truck. They even got it marketed on the radio station with jingles. You know, one eight
Yes.
hundred hit a truck. And I'm from
Yeah.
North Carolina. When I moved to Georgia, it wasn't like that in Carolina. They didn't have jingles about winning a lawsuit from hitting a truck.
Right.
Bro, if you go down, if you ride off I-10 in Louisiana going into Texas, or even I-20 from Shreveport going into Texas, bro,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see billboards of these lawyers that talk about hit a truck and get paid and all this crap. You know, that's why they stop trucks from parking on the interstate. Well, that's one of the reasons why they stop trucks from parking on the on and off ramps, because there was a big scam a few years ago where cars would be getting off the interstate in the middle of the night, and they would literally purposely
Hit a
run
truck.
into the backs of trucks just to get paid, just to get a check.
So
I
look,
can't
this
respect that.
this is what I just got cleared of a case. I just got cleared of a case. What's that sound?
That's my car.
Oh, I just got cleared of a case. It happened in Virginia. My driver was driving, and I had Progressive too. That's who my insurance was. My driver was driving. He was going, and then he hit a guy. So then I said, well, let me look at the dash cam, because the insurance asked for a dash cam. The guy cut him off. He cut him off and
Mm,
stopped. He's
mm,
like, and you can see him kind of like trying to, on the dash cam, you can see him trying to figure out when to get in front of him and stop. So he
Mhm.
got in front of him and stopped. And Progressive was like, nope, you cut him off. That's your fault. So
Progressive said you cut him. He cut him off.
no,
Your driver.
he said to the guy. Progressive
Oh,
tried to
okay, okay,
claim
okay.
because the guy
I
was trying
got
to
you.
get bread, lawyer, all that, but they didn't
Oh,
know they had a
got you.
dash cam. They thought the dash cam, they thought it was just there because they said, what did the lawyer say to him? Because they took the Progressive told me that the lawyer was like, yeah, usually they have dash cams, but they never work.
Mhm.
Got you.
But ours worked because people just have it just there just to say that they have it, you know.
Mhm.
But ours
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
So, and it showed that you can tell he was baiting them, like he was speeding up and then slowing down, speeding up and then slowing down, and he sped up, got over, stopped.
Mm.
So
I had
Progressive was like, nah, denied
I
the
had
claim.
this. I'm sorry.
No, you good. Go ahead.
I had this guy, and I don't mean to interrupt, but had this guy help him get insurance. He was a victim of something similar. Basically, someone had robbed a bank.
Mm.
No, robbed the convenience store, ran down an embankment into the highway to get away from the police, and got hit. And they blamed the trucker.
Yeah.
He's running from the police. He robbed the bank. He shot and killed somebody inside the convenience store, not
And
the
they
bank.
blame the trucker
They blame the trucker.
because the
You
trucker got a better insurance. That's why. More money.
all
Hey,
right.
speaking of that, not to cut you off, Alante, but
Mhm.
speaking of that, bro, something similar. It wasn't a bank robbery or something like that, but I think a tire popped off or something,
Mhm.
and Warner actually just won their reversal of their nuclear verdict. I haven't really read much of the article. I just saw it the other
Mhm.
day, but they got hit with, I think it was like $100 million nuclear verdict or something crazy like that,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they actually won the reversal.
Yeah.
So I gotta look more into that. That was actually big news. I was just getting off of work when I saw that.
That's one of the
That's
things. That's oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
that's a great segue. Just looking at the list,
Yeah.
because I was going to mention nuclear verdicts. More or less
Mm,
recently, in the last 5 years, there have been 300 nuclear verdicts, over 10 million
mm-hmm,
of excess.
So what
mm,
are nuclear verdicts?
Nuclear verdicts are $1 million plus.
Okay, so
yes,
$1 million plus verdicts. That's
Mhm.
called nuclear verdict.
Mhm.
yes.
Wow.
It could be minor things. It could be you can be driving and you didn't do your pre-trip adequately, and a boat can fly off, hit somebody. It's not minor. I don't want to say minor, but it's minor in the sense that a boat can fly off your truck, go in somebody's windshield, cause them to wreck, and they, for lack of, they could lose their life, they lose an arm
Hmm.
or leg, and they
Yeah.
sue the trucking company. Most trucking companies carry $1 million out of liability, bodily injury.
Right.
When you have a nuclear verdict that exceeds $1 million, they go bankrupt, they go out of business.
Right.
They're not ever
That's what
able
they
to
can do.
operate again.
Right. And that's
Spider got hit with one last year.
yeah, that's see, that's the thing, is just that. And then what? So they go back and look, did you do your pre-check? Did you do your pre-trip? What do they do? They check your paperwork. Oh, you said you
Everything with
did
a
it.
fine tooth comb.
Hmm.
Fine tooth comb. And I think, and what I've seen when owning the company is, yes, the truckers drive. That's what they do. But a lot of them, or the ones that I've had, they forget about the stuff before and after. You know, you got to do your pre-trip. You got to have it recorded. Just because you said you did it doesn't mean you did it, because it needs to be recorded. You need to record it and do it. You need to do your post-trip. Just because you said you did it, but it needs to be recorded. See, a lot of drivers forget, like, okay, I did it, but they have to remember about the paperwork. There's a
Hmm.
paperwork aspect to it. There's a business side to it. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, something happens. Okay, give me your pre-trip inspection. Well, I did it.
Yep.
Okay, so where's the show that you did it?
Well, the
I did it.
FMCSA, the new revisions and laws on the FMCSA, they did something funky with the DVIR.
Mm-hmm.
I reported back on it, I think when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was an article on it, and it showed all the rules and regulations. It showed stuff they took out, stuff they put in.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember the DVIR. They were talking about that, but I need to. I can't remember it total right now, so I have to go back and look
Right.
at that article.
Right.
But yes, that is something. If our viewers want to look at it, go back and see what the FMCSA said about the
Yeah.
DVIR.
Yeah, because that's essential. And then, like, when I was driving, sometimes you're driving, you're so much in a rush. You're like, okay, I did everything, everything looks good, I'm gone. But you got
Yeah,
to remember, hold on, I got to put this into the system.
Yeah.
right.
I got to put this on either on my little book. I got to have something to say that I did it, because you never know. You can hit a left and hit somebody and kill
Yeah,
somebody.
that's
And you'll
true.
be like, well, you did your pre-trip, so where's the paperwork?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
court of
that's
law
true.
is about paperwork. It ain't about what you said. It's about where's the proof. Oh, you said you did
Right.
it, but there's no paperwork. I don't believe that. So yeah, we're gonna get you with the million. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
Now,
easy. So
now,
that's the thing.
question I got for that right there, right? So let's say if the driver does do the proper pre-trip, right? But let's say if the company,
Hmm.
right? We're talking about a company driver aspect,
Right.
or owner operator. Let's say if the owner operator running their company and they didn't keep up the proper maintenance on their trailers. And the reason why I'm saying this
True.
is because this actually happened
True.
last week. And I'm gonna send you guys the pictures and show y'all. I'm not gonna release the name of the company, but I'm gonna show y'all. So you can have as many cameras as you want inside that cab, right?
Mhm.
But who's keeping up proper maintenance on these trailers? Because there's this one company here in Charlotte, North Carolina, bro. The trailers look like crap. Now,
Mhm.
mind you, you can go into anybody's books. Anybody can look it up, and you can go to anybody's books. If they're public, if they're private, then there's only so far you can go.
Mhm.
But I looked at this company's books because they're private, so it's only so far I could go. But they made $7.5 million last year,
Mhm.
right? We all know they got the Trump tax cuts
Mhm.
of 2017. That's how Trump got into office, because of those tax cuts, because they were about to expire this year and now they're extended.
Right.
They saved a lot of money with those tax cuts. Where did that money go to? Because it damn sure didn't go to driver pay, because they only paying drivers 63,000 a year. That's the top max.
Oh, went to their
Um,
pockets for sure.
the equipment, the trailers look like crap. You can go. I released a video on my YouTube and my Instagram to show y'all the holes in the trailer floors.
Mhm.
The very next day, that trailer, they were putting that load on, and that trailer caved in. What if I was out on the road, just got through making a delivery, or I'm about to make a delivery, and that trailer floor being as weak as it is, what if it would have caved in? That freight would have caved in
Mhm.
on the road in the middle of an intersection.
Hmm.
Now, I know companies have cargo insurance and things of that nature, but again, What about the driver? You do not know if that would have happened. That would have made my day long, my
Mm-hmm.
day strenuous.
For sure.
I would have been the one out in the middle of the interstate, like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Well, that makes
So
perfect sense.
again, so again, when we talk about the English proficiency, which we're going to get into in a minute, when are we going to start talking about corporate greed?
There's
You know,
go
I
ahead.
was afraid of this the most when I was trucking. I
Mm,
had
Mhm.
older trailers. I continuously got the beams checked, the cross beams. I got my floor checked, but it was still older trailers. And that normally happens to older trailers or trailers that's misloaded, loaded heavy in the middle. But if you're a new guy and you don't know all this, and that trailer buckle, man, that's probably outside of a steer blowing out. That's the worst thing that can happen, bro.
yeah.
It is, especially when we talk about public safety, in
Yeah.
which the angle that they're coming at it from with the English proficiency. Now, I understand, like I said, I would respect them if they came out and said the English proficiency is about getting driver pay up because there's too many drivers in this industry and we can target them and we can get them out. I would be cool with that. I would understand that. But
Mm,
then when you talk about public safety and you have things like underride crashes and
mm.
you have things like trailer floor caving in and
Mhm.
things of that nature, are we really concerned with public safety, or are we putting profit over drivers?
Oh, definitely, definitely in trucking, I can tell you it's definitely profit over anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Yeah.
and also too, when you're running a trucking company, you're receiving the pressure from the shipper, right?
Yes.
Pick this up, you got to go. And
Yes.
then, so yes, a lot of things get skipped over. A lot of things is like, okay, cool, just get it picked up. We'll figure it out later. I
Yes.
had some situations I had to say that. Well, hey, just pick it up, deliver, and then we'll deliver. It's just that's what it is.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when we're talking about the crashes and all that stuff, and then the pre-trips, that's why it's good for the driver to have their pre-trips recorded. Because when they record their pre-trips and they say on the thing, this looks wrong. This looks wrong. This looks unsafe or unsafe to drive, so I won't drive. So if they get
Yeah.
fired because of that, then they have a reason to get money and sue. But if they drive,
Right.
and then they can also put in there, I told dispatch and they told
You
me to
take care
keep
now, man.
driving.
To
And I'm
good.
gonna give you a call, man.
Okay. Good
I
to
love
see
you,
you.
man.
Love you too.
They
Sorry.
when they say when they put that stuff in their DVIR and they say, well, I spoke to dispatch and told them, but they told me to pick up the load. See, they put
Mm.
that information in there. Now, when something happens, they absolve themselves.
Mhm.
Now,
Put
I'm
everything
glad you
in there.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I will say this, and I had this conversation with somebody else the other day. I say it's 50% on the company and 50% on the driver, because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen where the driver be in such a rush that
Mm-hmm.
the driver will say, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with this trailer," when there is something wrong with the trailer.
Exactly.
Now, here's why I say the other 50% falls on management. Okay, how many times have you seen management get out them big, nice, fancy offices and come out to the docks or
Mm-hmm.
come outside and actually look at their trailers
And true, true.
and actually look and examine their trailers?
And I'll give you what my man Alante says. I'm not gonna say devil's advocate. I'm gonna say God's advocate.
There we go.
Okay, okay,
Okay, but
okay.
and this is what I used to tell my drivers. How do I know when to check out something if you driving it every day and you're not saying nothing?
Yeah, yeah,
I
You
don't.
got to put something in that report for me to be like, let me come check this out, or
Yeah.
go to the mechanic so he can get his eyes on it. But
Mhm.
mm-hmm,
that's the importance of that DVIR, because the DVIR, I see that on my end.
mm-hmm,
As soon as you put it in, it tells me DVIR upload. Okay, let me see what's going on. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool. All right, cool. But if you don't say nothing, then why would I don't need to come down to the docks to look at it. You need to tell
mm-hmm.
me there's something wrong, because why? You're driving it every single day. Hey, Marcus,
Right,
this tire looks bald. Bet. Put it in DVIR, get it done. But you have to say something.
right.
You got to
But
say something and make it official too.
correct, correct. But also, as a company, don't try to woo the new driver's eyes or driver's eyes by saying, "Oh, we're going to upgrade this facility. We're getting a brand new machine
Yeah.
in this facility that's going to help our sales products.
Yeah, we don't care about that. We need to get that equipment right.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah,
That's
for
what I'm
sure.
saying.
Oh,
Don't brag to me about new machinery that you're going to get to help your sales
look
when
at new
the
trailers. You got
trailers
them new
look
trailers?
like crap.
What are them new trailers
Correct,
looking like? Yeah, you
I
got
feel
them
like
correct.
I feel
And
like
I'm
it's
$2025.
100%.
and hold on, Alante, and I'm speaking when I speak this stuff right here that I'm talking to you guys
Yeah.
about. This is actual facts that actually happened to
Oh, for
me
sure.
over the past month.
Oh, for
I
Mhm.
sure.
just can't say the name of the company, but over the past month. Then I'm gonna make a video about this too. But I want to ask you guys about this. How do you guys feel about there's certain companies out there that can gross this amount of revenue, right? It don't trickle down to the drivers, but guess what? They can spend X amount of dollars on company vacations.
Oh,
There's companies out there that spend, and another driver told me this at that same company. The company spent X amount of dollars to send their employees, their salespeople that are not drivers, to destinations, tropical destinations, because they had a good sales year.
what you saying, Alante?
I feel like it's 90% of the company's fault, 10% of the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm,
was a yard dog.
mm-hmm,
So on the checklist, this is the caveat to the whole uh, question we have at hand.
mm-hmm.
I was a yard dog, and on our checklist was never the beams of the trucks. If we see it, we catch it. But you can't really tell if those beams are rusted inside and out. You can touch and move them a little bit, but you can't tell. You can't tell the true age of a trailer outside of the years made. The true age is really how many times it's been in and out, in and out, in and out. That's the
Right.
true age. So when
Right.
we say these questions and we say, okay, it's 50-50, well, okay, the driver can look at it and touch it and move it. But most checklists for your average safety check or your daily pre-trip, it isn't the beams on the trailer, it's the tires, it's the
Mhm.
lug nuts, it's
Yeah.
the lights,
Right.
it's is it
Yeah.
leaking in the inside, but you can't really tell if that trailer gonna buckle. That's the
Okay.
company's job.
True.
Okay. That is the company's
That's the
job. You're right.
preventative maintenance and the preventative
Hmm.
That's
check
right.
times. That's that. There
That,
you go.
that's right. That's right.
In
Because
California,
also,
yeah.
also, let's talk about the shippers. You know, how many times you've been out on the road and a shipper will reject the trailer?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But are shippers now getting lazy?
Oh,
Because you can see when you walk in the trailer and check it out, you can see the wood on the trailer floor, the wood chipped.
hmm
You can see, oh, that floorboard look like it may go in a couple months. But guess what? They're gonna put that freight on there anyways because it's in such a high demand
So they
to
gotta
get
go.
that freight out.
They
You
gotta
see what I'm
go.
saying?
Yeah. There's a lot of rushing. It looks like
Right.
we're gonna load it. It's up to if it's up to the facility over there if they're gonna take it or not. They don't care. You
Correct.
got it. It's in your possession. Because once they put it on your truck, you're responsible for it.
hmm
Correct. And
They
a
don't-
lot of these shippers get a lot of their people that load these trucks. They get a lot of them from Indeed, Glassdoor.
Right.
Uh, um, I know for a fact a lot of these dock workers are staffing companies from staffing companies, so they don't really know what to look for. Are they being taught properly to say, hey, if the side of that trailer wall looks a little raggedy and the floor is chipped a little bit, I don't think we should put this 43,000 pound load on here. Are they
Let me
teaching?
This
let
is
me ask Marcus and you a question.
good.
Let's say you're a driver. Let's say you're out there. Let's say you dropped a trailer and you pick the trailer up. You open the door. It's already loaded. It looks fine.
Hmm.
The driver before you did his checklist. You looking at okay, the tire's good, the inflated. The lug nuts is tight. Okay, everything's fine. You get down the road, it buckles.
Mm.
Whose fault is it?
And nobody it's whoever owned that trailer. See, that's what
Mm-hmm.
see when something like that happens, you're not looking at any of the drivers, you're looking at who owned the trailer. But then you're
hmm
gonna go back and say, okay, when was the last time this was maintenance? When was the
hmm
last time this was checked? See, a lot of these companies don't do that.
Yeah,
A lot of these companies they don't take that trailer in because they don't think the trailer is important to have a maintenance schedule. But you need to have a maintenance schedule.
for sure.
What I started doing even when I was renting trailers, I would take my trailers to the place I'm renting and say, "Hey man,
hmm
take everything out. If something
hmm
looks jacked up, switch me out. Give me something new."
hmm
And that's and when we're talking about stuff, that's why for me, I always felt like when I started doing dropping hook freight, I actually like that better. Because like you said, I'm not responsible for the trailer. I'm just responsible
Right,
for picking it up. So if I take it up the
right.
street and it buckle, that ain't my fault. Hey, come pick this thing up. Y'all go figure it out because I
Mhm.
have nothing to do
Yeah,
with this.
yeah, it's not your fault, but guess what?
Take your
That's what
time
I'm
though.
saying.
You lose
It
your money
messes up your
and you
it
lose your
messes
money.
up your money and it messes up your day.
Hmm.
That goes back to corporate greed because the people in office, they don't care about them trailers being maintenance. They care about that cell system in that computer to say, hey, we got 3 stores that need this delivery, or we got 3 shippers that need this delivery, or 3 consignees that need this delivery. They need it by X amount of time. Well, we got 3 available trailers out there, but guess what? 2 out of 3, the floors don't look good. They not getting at them offices.
Yeah.
Yes, it's supposed to be a checklist. Everybody has a job to do, and like I said again, if the mechanic does their job or if the driver does their job, then
Exactly.
it trickles back up to the management. But
Mhm.
also, when is management gonna stop being cocky and big headed and start getting out them plush offices and walk in that lot and
True.
stop depending on people to do their jobs? Why not be? It's called preventative maintenance.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you what the judges say in the courthouse: ignorance is not above the law.
Right.
Yeah.
So, hey, Mr. CEO, Mr. CFO of the company or whatnot, hey, just because you're sitting in that big plush offices and you trying to do the chain of command thing, guess what? What if the chain of command fail?
Oh, and there's some cases that does happen. And that's why I said for drivers need to save themselves by recording everything, by doing the
Yes,
DVIRs, by showing that you have done everything that you needed to do. So
yes.
then once they say, because the first person they're gonna blame is who? The driver.
Oh, us. Yes.
Oh, that's the driver's fault. Okay, well, it's the
Right.
driver's fault. Okay, so did you do your DVR? Yep, I did it. Okay, did you see something? This is what I saw. Did you tell management? Yep, I told them and I recorded it here. And I
Right.
put it in the DVIR. What did they tell you to do? I recorded their response in there. They told me
You.
to keep going. Then you do it because you're following orders of the person that you're working for. So
Mhm.
then now they say, okay, well, it's not the driver's fault, it's the company's fault. So now you get
Right.
those. What is it called? What is it called? The
Oh,
Now you get those. What's that lawsuit called? Serial. What's the lawsuit called?
Nuclear.
nuclear verdict.
Nuclear. Now
Nuclear
you get
verdict.
those nuclear verdicts now,
Mhm.
because now they
Yes.
saying, well, we can't sue for a little bit. We can sue for a lot because it's not the driver's fault. It's the company's fault.
Yeah, don't let me find out as a driver whether I'm owner operator or not, or I'm leasing or whatnot. Don't let me find out you made 7.1, 7.5 million in revenue, and I go to pick up some of your trailers and they look like crap. Don't let me
Yeah.
find that
But then
out.
also
Don't let
too,
me
it's up
find
to the driver to be like, nah, you can say no.
Mhm.
And there's
exactly.
a lot of
But
reasons, but there's a lot of ways you have to put yourself in we talked about this before. You got to put yourself in a position to say, no, I'm not
Yeah.
running
I
that.
could say no. I could say no, but what's the next driver's got to say no too.
True.
Mhm.
You
But just
feel
don't
me?
let it be you. You know
You.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It
Yeah. That's the
starts with you.
game.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
Yeah.
man, you know,
right,
take that gamble.
Yeah.
But at
right,
the end of the day, a lot of these drivers put themselves in a position where they're like, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance because I got to.
Mhm.
right.
Put yourself in a position.
We talk a lot about the owners and the companies and the person who has the trailer, but I think about if it buckle, how's it gonna affect my truck? Is my truck gonna get out of torque? What is it gonna cost me? Because on that
Oh,
day I'm running. On
Hmm.
that
that's a
day
good
I'm running, I
question.
might not have that much money. I might be making the money to pay my rent or pay my mortgage. And I'm already behind because I didn't run last week. And I just got my truck out of the shop. So this
Yeah.
this thing buckled, my fifth wheel got yanked off.
Hmm.
Your
You know,
differential could get messed up.
Right. Everything's getting jacked up.
yeah. Your truck's out of torque. You gotta go back in the shop,
I
spend
say
like two,
this.
three
This is
grand.
this is what I've learned as a driver and as an owner. Every day that truck turns on, you're taking a risk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But a lot of truckers have to understand that and try to protect themselves as best as possible.
Right.
Whether that's recording everything that you see, whether that's saying no to freight, that if you pick it up and you like this trailer don't look right or it's too heavy and they say, oh, you'd be good, have the power to say no.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. But don't put yourself in a position, like you said, you start saying, I didn't run last week. I got the truck out the shop, then this, then this, then this. Keep in mind, it's not about safety. Your mind is
Right.
about money. I'm
Yeah.
worried about money. I'm trying to get paid. I don't care what I
Yeah.
can do to get this money, but I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna take this chance. I'm gonna take this risk. Sometimes you just gotta be like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Mhm.
I know my money situation, but I'm gonna do something a little bit safer because, like you said, you're already out of money, or you have a little bit less money, but then you take that risk. Now you out of business. Now you have a job. Now you out of trucking. You don't have no truck. You can't even sell your truck because it's jacked.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
And you might have spent all this money on a new motor. Got out of the shop last week. Everything
what
you
I'm saying, so you
had.
can't put yourself in a position to be like money, 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 money. Because once you start doing that, safety goes out the window. I don't care about no
I'm gonna
safety.
tell you. Oh, I'm glad you said that, Mark, because I'm gonna tell you what a famous economist, somebody I watched a lot and I listened to, said. And he just recently said this a couple months ago on the Mark Lamont Hill show.
Hmm.
He said if a company says, if they constantly preaching safety, 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 and they constantly say safety is our number one priority, run away from that company
It's
because
not.
we all know it's not.
It's
They're
not.
playing on your intelligence because guess what? We all know the reason why we're in business is to make a dollar.
If the company look, I'm gonna give it. Look. I never say these things too, because when I was having my cup, I never say this. The reason why, because it's not true. There's two things. If a company says these two things to you, do not work for them.
Right.
One, if we care about safety, safety is our number one priority. We want you
Yep.
to be safe.
Yep.
Don't believe that. They don't
Don't
want you to be
believe
safe, especially
it.
in trucking. Trucking is about we need you to get delivered.
Yes. And they
You're
will
not,
push you.
if you're not delivering, you're no asset. You're not an asset to us. The number two
Correct.
thing really is number one, but I said safety first because CDL. But the number two thing, if the trucking says we are a family,
Oh, run. Run,
if
run,
a
run,
trucking
run,
company
run.
says we are a family, we're gonna treat you like a family member.
Yep.
Run.
Run.
Yep.
They don't care
Run.
about you. Like when we talk, I'm being real honest, right? They don't care about you. They see you as an asset or a liability. It's business. We're not a
Yes.
family. I
Right.
don't care about your mom. I don't care about your family. I care about you delivering from A to B.
They
Mhm.
don't.
Okay. And I think as truckers, you're looking for something for somebody to be like that. They'll
And it's
tell
not
you
gonna
that
happen.
so they'll tell you that so you can feel good about yourself. But
Look
if
at
you're
that
not
paycheck.
delivering on time, if you messing up that money, you will
Yep.
get fired.
Look at
So
that paycheck. Or oh, go ahead, Marcus.
a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
drivers have to understand that. It's just saying like, look, if you hear those things, they talking about safety, 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 and we a family, run away, bro. I want to drive. If I'm a driver, and I changed, like I said, I used to say that stuff, Oh yeah, I'm gonna treat you good, Then later on, when you start getting a little more jaded, you get straight to the point, bro. All I care about you is delivering from A to B. I'm gonna make sure the truck good. I'm gonna make sure everything. You tell me something, bro, I'm gonna get it fixed. But I don't care about
Mhm.
the other life. I don't care.
Right. Right.
A to B. That's because
Right.
you are either an asset or a
Or
liability.
liability.
That's what it's about. It's business. So don't try to
Yes.
get into, especially the trucking business. Don't try to get into this business looking for somebody to hold your hand and tell you they love you, you family, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job by getting paid. That's the
Yes.
love that I give from me to you. It's you get your money
Yes.
time.
And I'm glad you said that, Marcus, because I was just thinking about this morning. A lot of drivers get it messed up and misconstrued. A lot of drivers think because they're getting paid good, or they might be getting paid good, depending on their lifestyle and living expenses and all that,
Right.
they think that guess what? I work for a good company. No, if you
No.
do a good job, you get paid what you're earned.
Yeah.
You earn that money. That is your
That's
money.
your money.
Ain't got a damn to do with the company paying you. No, it's what you earned. A lot of drivers get that misconstrued, and they need to stop that too. Know your worth.
Know your worth. Know your worth. If you put in the work and you don't get paid, leave the company.
That's
Okay.
right.
Don't be like, don't fall for the next week. Don't fall for the next month. Don't fall for we going through things. Leave the company.
Denzel Washington said that in the movie Fences. In the movie Fences, he told his son, he said, Mr. Rand down at the factory don't pay you because he like you. He
No,
pay you because you earned it.
you earned it. That's it. That's how it needs to be though.
Yeah.
That's period in society. If you gonna work, you get paid.
Right.
That's the company. That's how they gonna show that they love you. It's because they
Right.
paying.
Mhm.
But if you stop being an asset and you become a liability, especially in trucking, I gotta fire you. I gotta let you go. I don't care about your other life. But I
Right.
think drivers need to understand that, like, bro, this ain't no sweet stuff. You
No.
can make really good money if you work for the right company and you get your bread on time. But what's the most important thing? You got to put in the work.
Right.
We don't want to hear no excuses why you woke up late. We don't want to hear the excuses because your baby mama doing this. We don't want to hear none of that. We want to hear that truck start up. You do everything you're supposed to do. You get everything delivered and you hauling. That's what
Right.
the trucking industry is. Stop. A lot of these drivers got to stop trying to get into this business looking for somebody to hold them.
Yeah, man.
You a
Correct.
family, man. You're doing great.
Yeah, man.
Nah, bro, don't get into this business doing that because nobody cares.
Nobody cares,
Nobody
bro.
cares. At the
Nobody
end of the
Nobody
cares.
day,
cares, bro.
Nobody cares,
When you
bro.
go to a situation and knows nobody cares about me, they only
Hmm.
care what I can provide. That's great. Now you know I'm gonna keep having this job if I keep being an asset.
Yeah.
right.
That's just what it is. But let's get into some
Right.
data, man, because we're trying to be educated on here too.
Oh, I love data and them numbers,
Well, I'm
baby.
talking about right here. I'm looking at the national spot rates right now. It says July for dry vans is $2.13 compared to last month, which is $2.02. So we got 11 cent increase for the
I
van.
like that.
Mm,
Flatbed is 260 compared to
mm,
257 last month, so up 3 cents.
okay.
Reefer is 251
Hmm.
compared to 237 last month.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
got we got some uptick, which is cool. It's not crazy numbers like COVID, but dry van is really seeing an uptick because in April it was $1.96 to 213.
Okay.
So we
Right.
got it's an uptick, which is it kind of makes sense, right? Because it's summertime. More things are moving.
Well,
Uh,
summertime and English proficiency.
You beat me
yep.
there. I was gonna say it.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna
Let's
get it.
just
We're
go
gonna hey,
ahead.
Yeah.
we gonna get into that. Then let me get
Mhm.
into this diesel price. Diesel price this price average is $3.73. So it hasn't changed from last week. So it's
That's still high to me though.
three
That is
dollars and
high.
73 cents per gallon for diesel. That's a nationwide diesel average. Uh,
Mm,
so I don't know for that as far as on the diesel, people just need to just find the right spots, find them hood spots. They got the cheaper
yeah.
prices. Stop going to the big box brands sometimes because they prices be high.
Drop that trailer and go to Circle K or something like that, or they can download Mudflap
Mudflap
and go
helps.
see what them prices are over there.
Okay, then
Mudflap is great.
Mudflap. I used to use Mudflap a lot. It was great. It was easy. It made sense for people to use it. Some of
Yeah.
the drivers wanted the other ones, the big chains, but Mudflap is signed up with a big chain now. So they can
Uh
still get
oh.
the shower credits. It's not Love's. It's the other one. Tell
Who?
me the
Pilot? Flying
not
J?
pilot, not flying. No, Flying J. And what's the other one?
TA? Petrol?
TA. It's TA Petro. TA Petro. That's what it
Okay.
is. TA
Okay.
Petro. So you can get for the shower credit. That's what the big thing was when we first started using it. Was I don't get no shower credits because I'm going to these rinky dink. But now they signed
Yeah.
up for the big one.
Oh,
Um,
that's good.
which is
That's good. Good
good.
job,
So the
Muffler.
drivers just force them to go to TA or Petro. I want to go to Love's. It don't matter, bro. You going here because we saving on gas. You can still get you a good
Right.
shower and get you a good spot. So,
Right.
and then another stat I like to look at. This is we can segue talking about the policy stuff, but the national load to truck ratio. Okay, so last week it was 5.16 trucks to one load. I
Mm,
think that's it. Now it's 6.7. The ratio don't went up.
Mm.
mm.
6.7 trucks per load.
That's good. That's way better.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's worse.
It's worse.
So hold on.
The national load to truck ratio
Uh-huh.
5.16. I believe it's 5.16 to one truck.
Yeah, that's worse.
So we
How
divide so what is load
explain it to me. How's it worse?
so what is load to truck ratio? We divide the number of loads posted by the number of trucks
Yeah.
post on DAT. So that means there's five. Last week it was 5 loads per one truck. This week is 6.7 loads to one truck.
That's better, right?
No. Other way. 6.7 trucks to one load. That's what it is.
Well, hold on.
Oh.
I thought we weren't listening to DAT. I thought I
Well,
would
I'm just
listen to
looking
a
at.
crackhead
I'm just
before.
pulling it from here.
I'm
We
just
got some
messing.
data. Well, yeah,
I'm
we'll
just
learn more
messing.
about that. But basically, there's an increase. There's an increase in trucks to loads.
Mhm.
That's what it is. There's more trucks to loads because, or there's more loads to trucks. Maybe
That's what I was saying. It's better. It's more loads of trucks.
it's more loads to trucks.
It's it,
So hold on. Is there more loads to trucks or is there more trucks to loads?
it's. I think the more loads of trucks.
Okay.
It's 6.7 loads to every one truck. That's better if it's like that.
Yes, that's what it is.
So it's better. So that means
Well
it's
then,
increasing.
It's better for the truck.
Hmm.
Correct. The
okay,
reason why
okay.
is because
It's more loads.
there's more loads, but it's because there's less trucks.
Yeah.
Well, that means right there. That just tells me that
That's what it is.
truckers need. This is a good time for negotiation and know your cost per mile.
Oh,
Yeah.
I talk about
And
that.
don't budge off your cost per mile.
I'm looking at
Yeah.
that on here just so we can, be real professional here.
And fuel prices to me, to dial back for 1 second, I remember in 2022, 2023, when I was in the industry, fuel prices were like $5 a gallon, 448, 505. You know, that's and then last year it was like about the same it is now. So within a year span, we have a new administration, we have new players, fuel ain't budged. I don't like that. I don't think diesel has to be this damn expensive. They showed us during COVID that diesel didn't have to be this expensive, but
Right.
370, those are irremovable costs. You can't play with diesel. You can't play with insurance. You can't play with uh parts prices. So
Mhm.
how the f do
Right.
your margins become fickle, and that messes with your business. Period.
Well,
Correct. Correct.
when you talk about that, see that affects the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
That don't affect the big guys. Because the big guys they got these contract with these places where they get cheaper fuel.
True.
Or they got mechanic shops where they get these parts. They got contracts with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So where they're not getting hit like that. Like I ain't never seen a Schneider truck, you know, at a certain place unless they got a contract with it because they got a contract with all these places where no matter what, I don't care what's going on, my fuel is going to be this
Yeah.
because they have the volume,
True.
Right.
right? But yes, that's what it is. It's just that the small guy, and that's why, like if you're an owner operator right now, I think the best thing you should do is lease on. Lease on
Now,
so you can get on with some of these companies that already have those fuel situations to where you can weather the storm. Don't try to get your freight by yourself right now. Just lease on, maybe with a bigger carrier, because the most important thing is trying to save on cost until it starts getting great again.
I gotta play God's advocate,
Okay, go ahead.
because I think that the best time to get into an industry is when it's fickle. You're right. Lease on is a good way, but I also think that if you are out here right now, you play the spot market and you build relationships up. When the market does get good, you're in
Yeah.
position. You
True,
don't get positioned in good markets. You get positioned in bad markets.
true. You can get position. I do believe that. But I do what I'm trying to say is that you just because you lease on don't mean you can't build those situations up. See what I'm saying? Right now, it's all about just surviving. If you can survive,
Yeah,
because you want to, like you said, you want to be there when a turnaround happens.
yeah,
So if I can lease on to this carrier over here, make some money, still build up my other situations over here, you can still talk, you can still build connections, you can still be out there with the warehouses, you can still be talking, you can still be doing all of that. But if I'm doing it under this umbrella for now, because why? This company has cheaper fuel. This company can, has the mechanics. They have everything they need to do to take care of my truck at a cheaper rate, just so I can survive. So then once you survive, once the rates start getting good and everything start getting bouncing back, you see fuel going down. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go back to my owner operator. I still got my authority. I
mhm.
got to turn it back on to get insurance.
Well, that's another thing. There's ways, and you go to extramilecoverage.com.
Oh yeah,
See the
get it.
sign behind us.
Soft
oh
plug,
yeah.
soft plug. Heyo.
I had to throw it in there.
I gotta have I had the sounds next time. Brr, brr, brr.
There are insurance programs to age your authority for about 5, 6, 7, 800 bucks a month,
Yep.
where they charge you by mile. You
Mhm.
have to hook up to ELD. Let's say you have multiple trucks. Let's say you have one truck.
Right.
that's on the policy that hooks up to the ELD and it doesn't move.
Right.
So it's a set price per month,
Right.
and you can age your authority into a good market if you can afford it. You
And
know,
and, and, and that's to see it. A low key plug. I'm working on a low key course that I'm working on. Oh,
there we go.
pew, 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 pew. Working on the course right now. Pew, pew, pew. But this is what we talk about, and when I'm talking about in the course is like, don't be stuck in one lane.
Hmm.
And I feel like people that get into the business, especially you say you've been driving, you a company driver, now you got your own truck. Don't be so quick to get your own authority or get your own authority and let that thing run, but go work for somebody and lease on,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? Because what is that doing? It's your expenses. It's keeping your expenses low. So
Hmm.
Right.
now I may not be making the money that I think I make because I got my own authority, but I'm gonna get my authority, let this thing grow. Cool. But I'm gonna lease on over here, especially to market it. Like you said, yes, this is a good time to get in the market. This is a great time to get a truck. So get your authority, get your truck, let that jump, but go over here and get the work and keep your expenses low. And then
Right.
next year, your authorities age, you got the experience, you know what's going on. Now you can make that jump because everything's cheaper. So
Right.
don't jump in it and then try to do everything yourself and try to fight it. Jump in it, get your own truck because this is a great time to buy trucks.
Absolutely.
And just lease on. But people get caught up in this thing. It's like it's not a one size fit all. Sometimes you got to get your own authority because the money's great. Some
Yeah.
people lease on because of consistency, and this guy can get fuel for $2 a gallon.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I respect that.
That's what it's about. It's about you got to be nimble,
Yeah.
Yeah.
flexible,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that's what trucking is. You got to be like, and that's where you build relationships. You build
Yeah.
relationships
Right.
with the direct freight, the broker, but you build relationships with these big companies too that you can just say, hey man, I need to lease on for like 6 months. Come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Lease on for 6 months. I know you're a good driver. You got a good truck. We'll lease on and we'll give you everything you need. And here, take this fuel card and cheaper insurance.
Hmm.
All about your costs.
Yeah.
Gotta focus on your costs when you get into this industry. Your cost is your main thing. That's the reason why people fizzle out. It's because of the cost. You trying to get everything by yourself, just lease on.
Yep.
Lease on, and I got the truck for 30 grand. Great truck. Let me just lease
Hmm.
on right now because everything high as shit. Insurance is high,
Hmm.
diesel is high, the fees is high. Nah, I'm just gonna lease on.
Hmm.
Right.
And then when it get back low again, I get my own authority and now I can go get it myself. But now I got some knowledge.
Right.
People want to go straight to, I want to be a boss. I'm a CEO. This is my company. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got all the expenses too.
It ain't grow
Right.
quick.
Right.
Too quick.
Right. Now, to segue to what you go back to what you guys were talking about, the small companies and stuff like that. I want to segue because guess what? Guess who benefits most from the Trump tax cuts? Now,
Big company.
yes, we would say it would be the big companies and whatnot, but I got research right here
Okay.
that I want to read. And the research says small and medium-sized trucking companies in particular saw benefits from Trump's tax cuts from 2017 to present, including increased investments in new equipment,
Hmm.
higher driver pay, and enhanced business certainty. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act included provisions like lower corporate tax rate and increased bonus uh, depreciation,
Okay.
which allowed trucking companies to reinvest in their operations and potentially increase their profits. What I took from that is increased profits. I don't take invest in new equipment and higher driver pay.
Hmm.
What do you guys think about that? And it goes back into fuel as well. How do you guys feel about that with these high fuel costs?
Go ahead, Alante.
I mean, I think that's all just hearsay. The industry is so uh the industry has such a low margin, man, for our profitability. Those numbers can get washed in. You could be profitable for a whole year, of a 50,000. You can make $1 million in a year, and your profit margin is 5%, and you
Now
got
look,
several. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I want you to finish.
And you got several trucks. And then two of those trucks motor blows. Now you're back in the red for the following year. So yeah, it sounds good, but I just don't think it moved the needle.
Okay, look at this. Can y'all see that?
Hmm.
Hmm.
All right. Now, Snyder National's estimated revenue in 2025 is 5.37 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me how high driver pay is. My driver pay, because I've been out the industry for 2 years because of my heart transplant and because they didn't see me working at a truck driving school was technically trucking. They brought me in at 46 cents a mile. My first check running over 2,800 miles was like right at 3,000, was 1,070. You ask other drivers what their pay is bad as well. Don't tell me that y'all invested in good equipment and stuff like that, and then y'all profited 5.37 billion, and driver pay is still at an all-time low.
Mm.
Now let's look. I got some numbers here for y'all too.
Okay, I got a question
Prime,
for you. I got a question
hold on,
for
Prime,
you.
Prime Inc.
Hold on, I got a question
Prime
for you.
Inc.
I got
Okay,
a
go ahead.
question.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Okay, so you talk about driver pay. How much should a driver get paid?
If I'm doing 3,000 miles a week, it should at least be a minimum. If we're talking about CPM, not cost per mile, because that's on the operator. If we're talking about just a company driver, cents per mile, it should be a minimum between 60 to 70 cents.
60 to 70 cent.
What y'all think about that?
Oh, that's not bad. I pay my driver 60 cent.
I think
That's what I'm saying. There's mega carriers out here. We all know that a lot of people work for mega carriers these days. There was a statistic that came out and data that came out to show that there are more small owner operators than there is mega carriers. But come on, let's be honest.
Right.
Mega carriers is running this industry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And there's mega carriers out there that are paying low. They're paying low because they're getting new drivers out of school so
True.
they can exploit them and take advantage of them. They're getting some companies are getting SAP drivers that are giving SAP drivers a second chance, but
Right.
they're cutting their pay. Some companies, let's face it, there's a lot of drivers out there that got some accidents or some tickets on their profile, and
True.
companies are taking advantage of that and exploiting that. So I think it should be a national average between 60 to 70 cents.
So when you say exploiting, what do you mean by exploiting? How are they exploiting that? There those.
If
So you told me a SAP driver. So that SAP driver is a driver that was drinking, so he was
mhm.
being irresponsible. So yeah, the other one is a new driver. A new
mhm,
driver is a new driver, high risk, never been on the road before. So how do I trust that he's not going to create a nuclear verdict? The third
mhm.
one is what did you say was? What did you say the third one was?
I
Uh,
said the third, huh?
you said the third one was new driver, SAP driver, or
Accidents
accidents,
accidents or
or if the
tickets.
driver had an accident. So how are they exploiting them?
The
That's what
re
I'm trying to see.
I like where you're going with the I like what you're where you're going with the accountability aspect of the driver, but
Correct.
also the exploitation part comes from my behalf, and y'all tell me how y'all feel about this.
Mhm.
But let's say if I'm an employer and I know I need drivers, and I know you as a driver, you fucked up, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna hold you accountable, but I'm also gonna hold that against you because I know for me to hire you, okay, my insurance might be a little bit more higher, cool,
Right.
but also I know if you take this load from point A to point B, that load is gonna cost more than my insurance premium. I'm going to pay you less and I'm going to profit off. I'm going to skim off the top from that insurance premium and that profit. When you
CDL.
know that, guess what? Oh, you're just depending on me for a job.
Mhm. Off that 5.3 billion, what would you say
No,
that how much you think?
5.37 billion.
5.37 billion. How much do you think is profit?
See, and that's where I can say I think this and I think that all day,
Then
but with them being
net
an
profit.
actual public company, you can go into their books and look. I just haven't dug into their books yet.
Mhm. I just did some research while we're talking. And this is an interesting conversation because it asks the larger question is how these trucking companies actually making money. Um,
Yes,
their
let's talk
profit
about it.
their profitability for 2024 was only 100 million.
Mm,
They had a
Mm,
2% profitability margin.
mm,
okay.
How can you make 5.3 billion dollars or profit 100 M's? That's hustling backwards to me.
It
mhm.
is. You're
I
right.
know you making 100. I know you make 100. We don't have 100. I get that, but to that's incredibly thin profit margins.
And that so the research you just did, that's from Snyder.
Yes, from Snyder. Their quarter this year was only 1.86 percent profit
Okay.
margin for the first quarter.
Okay.
That that is crazy, and I think that asks a larger question about when people get into trucking. Are they really making money, or are they just existing? Are we just on a wheel, a hamster where we're just earning money, spending, or we're actually using our money and growing something else? That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother podcast. But
So so no, go ahead, Alante. I'm sorry.
I also would lead to believe that Snyder and some of these other companies, maybe they're getting income another way, because it's hard to run a company that big and that efficient. How much did the freaking CEO get? The CEO probably get 20 million.
Exactly. That's what we need to talk about. But with you digging into their books just now and you seeing that, what would you say would be a fair driver pay?
I mean, he,
I say for a driver that's no accidents, no whatever, whatever. I would say 60 to 70 cents.
Okay.
And I kind of feel like, I know, like I said, I'm not sure, but I think they probably pay that if you're there for some time. I don't think there's, I think and I'm not saying bad driver, the drivers that have issues may be getting paid the lower wage,
mhm.
but I would say 60. I don't see, it's hard to have a national average because now you have to have a national average for each category. See what I'm saying? And that's where it's going
But
to get tough.
but look, when it becomes a driver shortage and you need drivers, don't pay me top dollar. And then now that you don't need drivers anymore, put me on a sliding pay scale that
Oh
slides
yeah,
down.
and that's a whole that's
Here's,
messed up.
I
Yeah,
And
don't I don't believe in
that's
a
what
driver
happened.
shortage.
And
yeah.
that's what happened.
I
Uh-huh.
don't
No,
I
I
don't
don't
believe in
believe in
driver
it neither.
shortages.
I don't believe in it neither, but I'm just saying
Mm,
that's what happened. From
yeah.
2020, when they were saying, oh, it's a driver shortage, these mega carriers were paying a little bit more. Even
Mhm.
the brokers were paying more.
Yeah, because there's
Now
more
that it's
money.
right now that it's an influx of drivers, they're like, oh, we don't need you. I can find somebody else for cheaper, and they do.
But that's
Yeah.
true though. But that's supply and demand though. That's all
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
is. That's
yeah, yeah.
supply and demand.
Capitalism too. Capitalism as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but capitalism is supply and demand. Is if
Yeah.
there's a surplus, then that's just like in trucking, right? We talk about
Yeah.
the load to truck ratio. So you're right. It's
Hmm.
5 loads to one truck, and now it's
Hmm.
6.7 loads to one truck, right? So when
Hmm.
you talk about that, I'm going to get more because there's more loads available for my truck.
Yeah.
But if there's more trucks than loads, then the money go down.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't believe in I don't believe in if you hired me at 80 cents a mile and now you want to bring it down. I don't believe in that. I believe if
Right.
you hired me at this, I stay at this.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
But yes, at that time at COVID, yeah, it was so much freight, it was so much money around. We got to pay anybody everything,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now
Even
there's
before COVID
surplus.
too.
Huh?
Yeah, I say even before COVID too.
Yeah.
But also, this is what I want a lot of drivers to understand. Start when you go to these trucking companies or you go to these brokers that own operators. You need to start knowing your worth and knowing the economy because
Correct.
you can go to Google,
Correct.
look up. You can go to Google and you can look up and guess what? This is the cost of living per state.
Hmm.
And guess what? In West Virginia, it's 80,000 for a single person to live comfortably. In Vermont and New Jersey,
Out of
right?
California.
It is $286,000.
All right.
Let's see. When it comes to a household income need for a family of four, that means you, your wife, your son, and your daughter, or however many kids you got. Vermont saw the highest 1 year increase, 286,000. New Jersey followed closely behind with 282,000. So these trucking companies that's talking about driver pay 60,000, driver pay 70,000, driver pay let's say 50,000. That's no money to the driver.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get a second job based on the research and the data of the statistics of the how much it costs to live in each state these days. Inflation has gone up. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah. Or you're gonna have to get into an industry that um, once you're CDL, but you're not over the road,
True.
excavating,
Mm, mm,
construction.
mm.
Um, I delivered sheetrock at one point. Delivering
Me too.
sheetrock. You did?
Yeah, system
Wow.
transport up in Spokane, Washington. I
Wow.
did flatbed for 5 months in the middle of wintertime when that Texas heat hit me in April. No, in May. I said no mas.
Yeah.
But I delivered to National Gypsum a lot.
You know, they have boom trucks. If you have a CDL, you can do a boom truck where you got the machinery and they pay $30, 27, $28 an hour. You're working 60 hours a week. You're getting 1,500, 1,600, 2 grand a week. You know, you don't have to just do over the road. You can also utilize your CDL to get a good company job and be home every night.
Well, I definitely
Yeah,
feel we've talked about this before. I feel like having your CDL and truck driving is a stepping stone.
Hmm.
I feel
yeah,
like it's one of those careers you have for 20, 30 years. You retire and you made all this money and now you living free. I just feel like it's a stepping stone. I think it's a good opportunity for people that need a restart in their life. I think it's good for that, but I don't think it's a longevity play for trucking.
Yeah,
right,
Because there's so many factors to it. There's so many things. There's, especially for truckers and small trucking companies, there's a lot of things that are against you,
yeah,
and that's not meant for you to succeed. So I always feel like, we had this conversation. Trucking is not a thing that you do, for the rest of your life.
yeah,
Something you
right,
need to do right now, make some money. Hey, 50, 60, 70, 80,000. That's better than no thousand.
yeah,
You do that, you do the job, and then you figure out your next step. You plan. But what happens is drivers make some money.
Make sure it's not the FBI or something. You just sitting out here.
Oh,
yeah. I'm on a phone call.
Oh, okay. Tell me something.
Thank you.
drivers make well, the problem is, like you said, knowing your costs, knowing your expenses, and not overspending your money. Make that
Right,
money and have a plan what you want to do with it. That's the most important.
right,
Drivers, even small company owners too, right? Hey, make this money and figure out what's your next step and have a goal, have a
correct,
plan. But a lot of us don't
correct.
do that. So now you just digging. You keep digging, you're trying to get out. And now you saying, oh, trucking don't pay a lot. Nah, you just spend a lot.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
all it is,
I personally, I just talked to my father-in-law this morning. I don't know if I want to go into too much detail, but my brother has a really good position. He has the CDLs, and he works for one of the nation's largest excavator companies, and they're currently helping Google build a data center out here in Georgia, where the data is like an $8 billion awarded contract.
Right.
These guys are getting $2,000 a week working from 7 to 5
There's, def-
every
there's,
day.
Mm,
there's definitely better options. And maybe, the next show we'll talk about there's more options and
Yeah,
for using
yeah,
your CDL because people need to understand that. Like it's not a CDL, you can use it
mhm,
a
right,
lot of other aspects and make a lot of money. And
yeah.
those
right,
would be the job that you have for the rest of your life with a pension, union, all of that. Like I
right,
said, trucking is a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone to what you're trying to do to solidify yourself.
You can
correct.
edit this out, but maybe when them companies they get whiff of it, they can start sponsoring us.
Yeah, but we go. Yeah, nah, we gonna edit that out. We gonna keep that in. We got some sponsors. Somebody gonna sponsor us. All right, well, let's get into let's talk about okay, so Alante, you the insurance expert. I would just say what kind of like tip or update or red flag you see in the trucking insurance space? Like what are you seeing? And what's like what should people or what's a tip that some people should understand about their insurance or what you seen in the insurance market? How can this help them? you know?
During your first year or 2 years in business,
Okay.
you want to have one or two, perhaps, insurance companies you keep for a tenure, meaning you keep the entire year, and once you renew, you can get a better rate. Most companies I'm quoting right now, within their first 2, 3 years, they have six different companies. And
Mm,
insurance is like, oh no, it gets to a point where you have insurance 3 months, you cancel it, get another company, have them 3 months, cancel it, you get another
mm,
company. And insurance companies and underwriters, we see that, and it makes it look like you're unstable. And
Hmm.
unstable leads to volatility. Volatility normally leads to accidents. So
mm.
you have to get a company, stick with them, just fight through the payments. And if you're not going to do that, it's not for you.
Right.
If you want better rates later on, within 1 or 2 years, on your renewals, you want to stick with them a year,
Mhm.
but don't
Hmm.
complain when you're switching company 2 or 3 times. I had a guy, he come to me for insurance. multiple guys, but this one guy specifically had it 2 months, and now no other companies quoting him. Because before me, he had 3 other companies within the last 3 years.
Mm.
So yeah, four in about 2.5 years. Now he's out of business.
Yeah.
Can't be in
Insurance
business
ain't playing
without
that.
you can't be in business without insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
Kind of
speaking of
simple.
insurance, how
Kind
you
of simple.
feel about the DOT doing away with MC numbers?
How does that affect insurance? Does that
Yeah,
affect insurance?
Yeah.
I don't think it affects it
What was the whole point really of MC numbers and DOT numbers? Why do we have an MC number?
because
Right.
What was the benefit?
motor carrier numbers allows you to cross state lines. DOT, you stay inside the state.
Got
Mm.
it. So now you just got a DOT number.
Yeah,
So now is that the international? I mean, not international. Is that the national number now? The DOT number?
Probably so.
I feel like all that was just a money play.
yeah.
It sounds like
Well,
a
you
money
know,
play. All day.
they were set. There's a lot of people that was starting to sell their MC numbers as well.
Right.
For
I
sure.
think Alante told me about that Facebook
Hmm.
group
Yeah.
where you can go in there and buy MC numbers.
Yeah, yeah. You
So
still
when
Yeah.
can.
did they? You still can. Yeah. So when are they supposed to get rid of the MC number?
Next year, next October.
Okay. So what does that change? It changed nothing.
Well, I
I
think what
think
it's
it's
going
supposed
to
to
do is
cut down on
this.
fraud.
Yes. So this is what. So this ties into insurance as well.
Okay.
I had an insured. I'm helping out, helping him get insurance. He had a prior DOT number, and and underwriters and insurance is getting better and better to adequately locate people who are doing chameleon companies. They start one company, the company shut down, they open up a new one tomorrow, and they got the same 4 or 5 trucks on there. Why does
Mhm.
that matter, Alante? Why, like I can start 10 companies. No, you can't. You
Right.
can't just run risk up and then shut them down and start a new company and think that that risk not going to follow you. It's going to follow you, and insurance is going to detect it. And if they merge, you're either going to be put out of business from insurance companies not writing you correctly, or FMCSA going to holler at you.
Mhm.
Right.
So it seems like I'm looking over here like MC numbers, and this is like research for me. So MC numbers are required in trucking because it legally gives you authority to operate across state lines, which you guys said. It differentiates your role. Your MC number defines your role in the trucking industry: carrier, broker, freight forwarder. And then it
Mm,
regulates freight. Regulated freight requires it, so you got to have a certain MC number for your freight. Insurance requirement. To
mhm,
get your MC number active, you must file proof of liability insurance with the FMCSA. So, and then the fifth reason is used by shippers and brokers. Your MC number is often used by shipper, brokers, factoring companies to verify your operating status and compliance before doing business with you. So, I wonder what happens when you don't have it now. How do you regulate all these issues now?
Oh, I'm
they're going
pretty
to
sure
figure
they
it
got a
out.
system. I'm pretty sure they got a system.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put it in place if they didn't.
Well, you
Well,
already know. You
safer.
already know who talked to first. Who they talked to first before they did this? The insurance company,
Yeah.
right? Because it said right here, to get your MC number active, you must file a proof of liability insurance.
Yep.
Yeah.
The first people they
Safer.
talked to about this law was, okay, how do we not affect you guys?
a, a lot of those laws are, in my opinion, formed by insurance companies.
True. Well, you look at the MC number, the basis of it is insurance.
Yeah,
I was just about
You
to
can't
say
have an MC number without insurance.
for
I
sure.
was just about to say it does seem very biased.
Yeah,
That's what I was looking like. What's the number one reason? Oh, the number one reason is you can't have an MC number unless you have what? Insurance.
yep,
Right.
yep. And then all the things that go in your safer are insurance indicators, how we're going to rate you, you know,
Yeah.
categorize you. So listen, cab, there's a software called cab, Central, oh my god, I think Analytic Bureau, and it's for truckers,
Mhm.
and insurance people have access to it,
Mhm.
and underwriters, and I can pay for a subscription myself, but I don't go that deep 'cause I don't underwrite. But
Mhm.
I'm able to see on my end how many insurance companies you've had, how many accidents you had, because what truckers will do, they'll give you information that's not on their that you can't actually see as an agent.
But you can see
But I
with the
talked to
app.
my underwriter say, well,
Oh,
hold
they pull up
on,
everything.
this guy had, CDL drop for him. CDL went up on his insurance. Oh man, CDL had an accident. And on my side, he didn't give me none of that. So there's always going to be they're just getting better at collecting analytics and getting away with things they don't need. That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, food for
Gotcha.
thought. Just tell all truckers, just stop lying to the insurance person. They got all the information.
All the
Straight up,
information.
man, you can't lie to insurance. That's one people you can't lie is
We can't
they
lie.
analyzing your risk. So don't even try, bro. Be honest. Just be
Mhm.
honest, bro.
True.
Yeah.
If you hit the truck over there and and you cause an accident on the freeway, just be straight up. Just be straight up. If you got people on your thing that shouldn't be on there, just be honest, bro. Let's stop wasting Alante's time, okay?
Yep. Yep.
All right, well
That's
let's get into okay, this is CDL. We're gonna talk about these policies. All right, CDL. So what you
Talk to me.
talk
Talk
about,
to me.
I know we're gonna be on this for a minute. So what I see some stuff on your social media. You talked about this
Hmm.
heavy. So what's a policy that's really got it on under your skin, man? You need to tell the people
Well,
about it.
the English proficiency. The English proficiency has really gotten under my skin
Tell us
because
what so
I,
tell us exactly what is it? What is it?
well, the English proficiency is first of all the people that are fighting so hard for it. They're not talking or bringing to or shining light or bringing to light the fact that the CVSA in 2016 had bought it to Obama. Now, who is the CVSA? The CVSA is the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance or Association, whatever you want to call them. And they are they are a unbiased, um, undemocratic, unrepublican, politic, um, non-profit organization that really sets a lot of the ground safety rules for trucking that a lot of people don't shine a lot of light on them. Especially with people talking about the English proficiency, they talk about Obama. Obama did away with it. Well, first of all, Obama did not do away with it. As Freightways always will show you that guess what? They still got cited for it. The Obama administration did soften it, but they didn't soften it without the help of the trucking industry. And I talk to a lot of people that are in the trucking industry, and the number one thing they'll say is, well, the CVSA isn't really a part of the trucking industry. They don't really do anything wrong. They apparently got a lot of pull to get the Obama administration to take notice in 2016. Now, when you want to talk about politics, every administration has their own rules and regulations and their own agendas, right? So back at that time, we all know Obama administration was for DACA. It was for immigrants, coming in the right way. Obama did deport the most immigrants ever in history. He just did it the right way by giving them habeas corpus, which is your right, your day in court. Um, and he did it secretively versus the new administration brags and boasts about it, and they
That's
do
true.
things illegally as well because as we've seen the federal courts, the federal circuit courts have blocked this new administration's um, immigration law and deportation several times, but we're not going to get into that. But the CVSA actually said that guess what, it could not be proven, number one. Then number two, the CVSA said it was discriminatory.
Hmm.
It was discriminatory. So that's why they took it out. Now, like I said, if you want to talk about public safety, because a lot of people come at it from this, well, they can't read road signs and they can't do this and they can't do that. Okay, cool. Let's talk about these non-domicile and domicile crashes that I made a video about showing in the state of Arkansas that they were damn near neck and neck. They were off by like 5 or 10% in favor of the non-domicile crashes. Um, so let's talk about that, number one. Then let's talk about the documentary I told y'all to check out, which was called America's Dangerous Trucks, which was the PBS documentary talking about underride crashes and how you have certain organizations within trucking. I'm not going to say their names, but they did not even want to help solve the issue. You had Wabash, the trailer manufacturer, had $100 million lawsuit that they lost because they
Mm.
were just slapping DOT bumpers on trailers, on the back of trailers, and they were failing at 35 miles an hour. They were
Hmm.
failing. So nobody wants to talk about that. And on that documentary, there's a mother and there's a father that lost kids, and the trucking industry in totality gave that mother and that father the middle finger and said, that is your problem. We don't have nothing to do with that. So that's why I'm so upset when they come at it from the angle of public safety. Now, we're not going to talk about race or anything, but in one video, I did show to where there was a certain race that had a certain higher number of illiteracy than another race. So that goes to my question. The people that are fighting for this so hard, can they even read the
Hmm.
road signs and public safety?
Right.
Now, with that being said, like I see it now, there's an uptick in freight and all that. But I predicted that a couple months ago because, duh, if you get a certain amount of people out the industry, duh, that's going to create an uptick. So I can understand if they want to come at it from that angle, but that's not the angle that they came at it from. And once upon a time, I want to remind African Americans that are getting on board with the whole English proficiency, I want to remind them that back in the day, we were not accepted in trucking as easily as we are to this day. So let's not forget where we came from. But, anyways, with the whole English proficiency, I think it targets a certain amount of people that the CVSA said was very discriminatory back in 2016.
Question I have is, should a person be driving if they can't understand the language and understand the signs and understand everything that goes in the truck? Should they be?
And I understand. And I understand that. And what I honestly
Oh no,
think we
answer the
should do,
question. Answer the question.
no, I got you. I'm about to. What I honestly think we should do is, I think that's a question for the CVSA. Why did they feel like it was important enough to take it out? Now, I'll answer the question and say, no, they should not be driving, but it's above me because we need to get a sit down with the CVSA and ask them, why? Why did you guys vote to take this out, knowing that it would hurt the industry later on in life? Is it because the increase of the economy, which the H-2B and H-2-1 visas, and people saying like the ATA saying that it is a trucker shortage,
Hmm.
and then having all of these migrants and immigrants come over here with these visas and drive these trucks to stimulate our economy? What is it? That's the question that I have.
What
CVSA, why did y'all vote to take this out?
I look at it like this. We're not gonna get too political, but we can get a little political.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The last administration was pro-immigrants. They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna say everything that they need to say to get those people over here because that's what they're in favor of because it provides
Yes.
them a benefit.
Yeah.
So there's never been a trucker shortage. We all know that's the biggest lie ever. There's not a
Right.
trucker shortage. There's a trucker payment shortage.
Yes.
But it's not a trucker shortage. So I believe this is what I believe is that as a safety concern, if I'm driving on the road, I'm hoping that person in that big rig understands the signs. I'm not saying you got to be fluent, but you got to be able to speak. You got to be able to understand where you are. There's a lot of drivers that hop over here and they get in that truck and they don't speak a lick of English.
Now, what about the pushback I got to that is, what about the American drivers that go over there and don't and speak
Go
very little Spanish? Go over to Mexico. We cross borders too.
Yeah, but not as much as they come over here.
That's true too.
We got
That's
way
true
more
too.
people. You know what I'm saying?
That's true too.
So,
That's true too.
I understand it. I understand the English proficiency test. I do believe that everybody should be able to speak some form of English. I feel like that even just in the regular driving. I'm in California, bro. There's a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
that got driver's license out here that don't speak English. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, how? Because it's a money play. They just want the
Mm-hmm.
money. They don't care. You know, we got it here in California where the tests are in Spanish. They're in different languages. They're not even all in
Yes.
English.
Yeah.
Mm.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, but this what I tell you this though. And when I speak about stuff like this, I speak from a person that lives in different countries. If I try to go to get a license in France, What is the test in? French. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to get a license in Spain, what is the test in? Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the signs are in what language?
Right. Well,
French.
right. Well,
So
like
it
I
makes sense to
like.
me. I don't look at it. I don't look at it as a race thing or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I look at it as common sense.
Well, common sense, yes, but also like I was telling a lot of people too, it's not those people's fault. It's the government's fault.
Well, yes, because
It's corporate
correct,
greed.
correct.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, look at it like this. Let's say if truckers here in America were not getting their just due and getting their rightful pay, but let's say in Spain, Spain was offering all these programs, these HB2 visas and all this, and their truckers over there was making buku amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Americans will go over there? And it wouldn't be our fault if we did go over there because guess what? Spain's government allowed us to come over there.
Yeah, we'll go over there, but Spain will be like, you have to speak the language.
Yeah, and it also allows you to
That's
converse
Now,
it.
with.
do you think they'll uphold that? Do you think their government will say that? Because our government didn't say that.
For sure. For sure. Like I said, I lived in different countries and they hold that true. When I
Okay.
lived in France and my daughter was going to be, my wife was pregnant. We was just like, we're just going to stay in France. So my daughter would get a French passport.
Mm-hmm.
They was like, no, that's not how that works. Like, what do you mean? I was like, well,
Well then,
in America, if you get born, you get a passport. They's like, no, here in France, anywhere in Europe, if you have a baby, you got to be proficient in the language.
mm,
The parents have to be proficient, and the kid, you have to wait 7
mm,
years before you can get any type of passport. So when I talk
mm,
about things like that, and people, I have to like give people like my experience. I understand why that is true because I've lived in other countries and I've experienced it on my end.
yeah,
Where people say,
yeah.
no, you can't have that because you don't have you don't speak the language. So I don't look at it as a race thing. I look at it as that it makes sense. I'm not trying to be
No,
racist. I'm not trying to be like, but yeah, I will hope that the person in that truck understands English.
no,
I will hope so.
I don't look at it as a race thing either. I look at it as a huge government problem. You know, that's a lack on our government too. And we can't say Obama. We can't just say Biden. We can't say Trump. The HB2 visas has been alive since I think the 70s and the 80s. So we
See,
have to go back in history
correct. And
and talk about deregulation as well.
the H2B visa should have just been it was only for farmers. And then
And then it got,
exactly. So
yes,
correct. See, that's what it is.
yes,
Right? It was only for farmers, and then they made it into trucking because they wanted more people for cheap. So when we talk about corporate
right,
greed, there you go. Right? So
You got to be
yes,
able to. You
but
got to be able to converse with the authorities.
right.
Accidents inspection. That's what's important to me because I've been to Mexico a few times. They're driving, just not Mexican people, but they've been to Mexico specifically. I love Mexico.
Mhm.
I love Mexico.
Right,
Like I
right.
love
Crack.
Mexico.
Crack.
I love it. But their
That's gonna
driving
be a show on
conditions.
Patreon. That's gonna be
What?
Freaking Fridays uncut.
Yes, I love
okay,
Mexico. Um, but the driving conditions is different. The driving standards are different,
Right,
and how they
yeah.
converse with officers are different as well.
right. You
So I
just
think that's important. To speak the
Well,
language for anybody.
It's just a lot more
but
risk
what?
here. We have a lot more risk. That's just what
Yeah,
it is. A lot more risk, and I would feel like I said, I would feel comfortable. Look, when I was driving, I would run into, especially in California, I run into a bunch of drivers that don't know a lick of English. Luckily,
yeah,
I know some Spanish, and I can communicate and be able to do that. But it's like, though, but then you think like, yo, this dude don't know no English, but he driving this
Man,
truck. How the
look.
hell?
Okay,
How the hell
okay.
is your insurance?
Well, true, but I got something for that though. What about these border towns like Laredo, like Eagle Pass? I've been to Laredo and Eagle Pass.
Yeah,
When you have officers that are American, but guess what? Their heritage is Spanish.
right,
hmm
So that's kind of like a little pass too,
correct.
because you go to Laredo, man, them cats down there ain't speaking no English or
yeah,
not speaking English. They
yeah,
speaking Spanish down there. They look at you crazy if you speak English.
Right.
yeah.
Go to Eagle Pass down there by the Rio Grande. I've
Oh,
been down there.
no, I've been down there. But
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So it's one of it's a catch-22, right?
right,
It's just because
right.
you want to. Obviously people feel like it's wrong you feel like it's wrong because you want to protect them because they working for cheap.
Yeah.
You're gonna protect those drivers because they coming over here, they don't care. They just
Yeah.
want to make
Right.
money,
Right.
right? But then you got the other side that's looking at it like, well, it's a safety thing. You talk about safety, it is a safety thing because if they don't understand this stuff, or if they can't talk to the DOT officer, or if they can't really, then we are in trouble. And they on these roads with 80,000 pound, and now you're looking like, so it's a
How how much is it? How much more of a safety risk is it that versus a company that's not using their funds properly, investing back into equipment in their trailers? And me that can speak English, I run down the road and my trailer give out, and I got freight, 45,000 pounds worth of freight fall through the trailer floor. The next thing you know, my tandems go over that freight, hop onto a car, and kill them people.
50-50.
You see what I'm saying?
But then something
So if we,
happen and you can't speak the language, then who you gonna call?
Yeah.
See what
yeah,
I'm
that
saying?
too, but
If I
that
can't speak the
too. So
language,
you're
I'm just
right.
here. What am I saying? I'm trying to find somebody that can speak my language. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you're
I'm not
right.
just talking about Spanish, any language, Russian, German,
Yeah.
Hmm.
whatever. I'm just saying that you can't speak the language.
Chinese.
You can't report the emergency. You can't even
Mandarin.
tell the officer, this is what happened. You see what I'm saying? Like you can't communicate. The
You're
what's
right.
the
But
most
we only
important thing is communication.
correct. But we only concentrating on the communication part, and we're not concentrating on
Of
the
course.
trailer and the safety. I
Of
mean
course.
the safety aspects of the day to day work job.
But the thing is, though, safety is everything. That's the thing.
Right, right,
Safety
right.
is the driver, the equipment, the company. It's all.
But they only talk about the driver.
Oh yeah, of course. Because like we say, the driver is the what? Is the first person they're gonna blame.
Yeah. He the quarterback of it.
I like how you brought that back too, Mark. That was nice.
It's
The
true.
driver.
I'm
I
nice. I'm
like
nice
that.
with it, man. It depends on the day, though, man.
Yeah.
Early. It's early, and my
well,
brain is firing right now.
well, here's another thing. Here's another thing to think about. When they talk about the English proficiency and they talk about the B12 drivers, B21. I said B12. Anyway, it's stifle capitalism. Anytime something stifle capitalism, it's always going to be interfered with.
Right.
Capitalism rules this country, and you
Mm.
can't have a sector of people coming in doing something so dirt cheap and affecting the market and think nobody else can say nothing about it.
Exactly. It's gonna be.
That's the main part of it.
It's gonna be people that's in favor, and it's gonna be people that's not in favor. That's just what it is, and it sucks. But I do, like I said, from a person, and like I said, I only speak from as a person that's been in different countries and lived.
Mhm.
I've experienced it. It was like, nigga, no. You know what I'm saying? No, you can't get that.
Mhm.
Like, what? What? No,
Mhm.
you're not
Yeah,
from here. And then it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Okay, I'm not upset. But we have this open door policy, but it's more like, all right, it was open door in the beginning when we were creating the United States. Now let's close it up and let's make
yeah,
it fair for everybody.
yeah.
All it is. But is it a messed up law? I feel like if you come out here and you trying to learn and you taking courses and you trying to really learn on your language, that's great. Do that. But there's some people that come over here that don't try to learn, that don't try to
Mhm.
learn English. Like, bro, you
Yeah.
live here. You live here, learn the language. You're not even trying.
Hmm.
Like you said, I go
Right.
to your town, you looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I
Right.
speak English. Why don't you? Oh, that's what you mean. You in America.
Right.
It's not a racist thing. That's just a thing that I've experienced that, bro. We lived in France. My wife had a neighbor, super cool. We had a neighbor, super cool. And the neighbor's like, I speak English very well, but I'll never speak to you in English. I'm only gonna
Mm,
speak to you in French. So I'm gonna
Mm.
teach you how to speak in French. My
mm,
Mm.
wife was really good at French by the time we left because the neighbor only spoke to her in French.
mm.
Mm.
She forced her to speak in French. Like you're not gonna, and then like she'd be like, "You're not gonna come to this country," because she wasn't racist. She was just like very like she was proud to be French.
Yeah.
She was like, "You're not gonna come to this country and speak to me in your language.
Mm.
Disrespectful to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To show respect to
Yeah.
me being French, you need to speak my language and try."
Mm.
And I got that. I was like, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
my wife
It
got good
does.
at French because she was like,
That does.
okay, yeah, all right. But there's people
I
that come
like
over here
that.
that
I
don't
like
even
that.
try, bro. They don't
I
care.
like that point.
They don't even try. They don't even try. They don't try to learn. They don't try. They look at you. They try to find somebody else that speak their language. And then what that do, they push you out.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that
It's
point,
not
Mark. That's
fair.
a fair point. No, honestly, that's a fair point you just made. That
Yeah,
is.
try
You're
come over
right.
here. And there's people that come over here and they working and they try to speak to you and you try to help them. I like that, but don't come over here talking about you speak Spanish, you speak Russian. No, bro,
Yeah,
you speak English.
I
Try.
like that. I
Yeah.
like that. Now
Try
I'll
to
get
speak
on board
English.
with that. I'll
Yeah,
get on board with because
try, learn,
that
come
right
over
there,
here and learn it. We don't take all.
that's fair.
Yeah, don't come over here and just
That's
start
fair.
speaking and don't even try, bro. Come over here and try and say, look, I'm trying. I'm not really good at the words. I'm gonna help you, bro. I'm gonna talk to you, but don't make me feel like the foreign.
Right.
That's what it
Now
is.
I got a question for you guys now.
All right.
Now I've been doing some research on this big beautiful bill, and this is how this ties into trucking.
Okay.
Right? The ATA they put an article out about how the big beautiful bill will help owner operators and stuff like that. Okay, cool. Because they put it out from an aspect of the tax cuts and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, within this big beautiful bill that I've been digging into, it's got Medicaid cuts and other cuts. But the way it ties back to trucking is Trump is finally going to get his border wall, which is going to create jobs for dump trucks, flatbeds, all that carry them steel beams, concrete pole, all that. Gonna
Correct.
create jobs for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how do you guys feel about this? The money that he couldn't get the first go around during his first term is getting it through this bill by cutting programs. Medicaid program, right? Now, right here, I got it right here. This is part of the big beautiful bill. The money for deportations and border wall and the Golden Dome. The bill would provide some 350 billion for Trump's border and national security agenda, including 46 billion for the US Mexico border wall and 45 billion for 100,000 migrants detention facility beds as he aims to fulfill his promise of the largest mass deportation operation in US history.
Okay.
Now, that totals um it totals well, I forgot the total, but what's 350 billion plus 46 46 billion plus 45 billion. What's that? What's that equal?
Three 350 plus 346 is 390 plus how much?
No, 350 plus 46 plus 45 billion. How much is that?
300.
Dang.
Yeah, 350 plus 46 is 396 plus another 45 is 300 and 451,
So 39.
441.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now take that total right there, right?
Mhm.
Now, mind you, most of that came from Medicaid cuts,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Now, with that being said, guess what? The rural hospitals, the children's hospitals in rural America,
Mhm.
they got slashed. Now, what I mean by that is, hold on, I'm trying to find it because Trump actually, before he could get that bill passed, they actually had to put in, here it is right here. They actually had to put in $25 billion to save rural hospitals.
Mm.
So
Okay.
my question is rural hospitals and rural children's hospitals as well.
Okay.
So my question is, yes, creating trucking jobs,
Mhm.
but look what it's doing to middle America rural hospitals and healthcare. So do we as truckers that are owner operators, do we really care about our tax breaks and saving a dollar versus these hospitals? And do we think it's fair that Trump said his first go around that Mexico was going to pay for the wall when in fact our health care is actually paying for the wall? Our health care being cut is actually paying for the wall.
You go, Marcus.
Depends on what side of the fence you're on. Everything's
Mhm.
gonna be a pro and a con.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked up a little bit too. Yes, it talks about like you said the tax cuts. That's really the big thing for trucking because of
Yes.
about expanding their fleet.
Right.
All right, and the money, most of it, I guess, looks like it's going towards that that wall.
Yeah.
And it says they're talking about it's rollback. some of the clean energy programs as well.
Yeah.
Um, so which could trigger fuel incentives and measures for within transfer network. Basically, it's a big tax benefit bill. That's what it is to me when I look at it, and it's taking away the hospital funding and stuff like that. The one thing I can say is, and he gave them 25 billion, right, for those hospitals, which is good. But the one thing I can say is about hospitals and people that's in this industry, they've told me this. Some of the most inflated costs are from hospitals.
Mm.
Some of the most inflated costs is from hospitals. Also, too,
Mm.
they just found a thing just recently where what was it? They uncovered a multi-billion-dollar medical insurance fraud or something like that.
Yeah, but we can say the same about banks too.
Yeah, for sure, but correct. So when I'm numbers, data, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you charging me $300 to use a bedpan when that bedpan only costs $1 to make.
Right.
So
So
I
it goes
think
back to it ties back to corporate greed.
it goes back to corporate greed. I think I'm not like I said, I don't know the whole bill, but I just know that the medical industry is very inflated. Very
Yeah.
inflated. There's a lot of fraud in the medical industry. And
Now look,
yeah,
Sarah Jane Tribble, chief rural correspondent at KFF Health News, told NPR that many healthcare officials in rural areas say it's not enough. 25 billion is not enough. In fact, it's only 43% of what is needed for rural hospitals to offset the cuts coming in the Senate proposal.
so this is and
40,
this is what I say. How is 25 billion not enough?
mm-hmm,
You're rural. You're not even a
mm-hmm,
city.
mm-hmm,
So when you look at that, you say, okay, you know how you talk about the books. Let me
mm-hmm.
see the books. Let me see how you're
Yeah, let's
spending
go.
this money.
Got you.
You see what I'm
Got
saying? 20.
you.
So you're telling me 25 billion is not enough?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How?
Right.
How is 25 billion not enough? We're not talking about 1 billion. You got 25 billion and you're rural.
Mm-hmm.
You're not talking about cities. You're
Mm-hmm.
rural. How's
Yeah.
25 billion not enough? So,
Got you.
and that's what we
Got
talk about, just like we relate back to trucking, we relate back to truckers and stuff. How are you're spending your expenses? What are you spending this money on? See, everybody's talking about it's not enough, but they're not putting out no, this is what we need, and here's why. Because then they'll probably show that the CEO is probably getting 20, 30 million. Then it'll probably show that you
Yes.
guys are charging just like what they did with the federal contracting. That's a whole nother beast, right? They
Yes.
charging people 8 grand for one toilet just to be installed in the military base. When those
True.
toilets
True.
cost $50.
True. But when we talk about truckers' health, is the wall more important than truckers' health? Because what if a trucker lives in a rural area?
Yes, and I feel like 25 billion is enough.
Okay.
That's what I feel
That,
like. I feel like
okay.
I feel
That's
like the
fair.
hospitals
That's
are
fair.
I feel like the hospitals are charging too much.
Okay. I feel like you. I think they should open up them books and let's
Open up the
see.
books. So, okay, so 25 billion is not enough. So show us what you're spending. Show us.
Correct.
How much you
Correct.
charging?
Let's see.
How much are you charging for somebody to come in for a checkup?
Right.
Are you
Let's see.
charging
You're
you
right.
charging 2,500? You charging insurance this, and then you make the person pay this. So for a checkup, you charging that, and the
You're
checkup
right. Because
hour?
for truckers' health, everybody know I went through a heart transplant, bro. After my expenses and fees and all that, my heart transplant was over $3 million.
How much did the surgeon get?
Me and my wife, our copay was 8,000 because we got good insurance. But somebody who don't have good insurance, how much you think their copay would be if they had Cobra or Anthem or something like that?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So
We had we
I don't
had
want
we
to
had
get
our
too,
we had our first daughter. It was 50K.
yeah,
50K.
yeah, right,
What? Some
crazy.
places is more than that. But then
Yeah.
then this is when I talk about my experience. In France, you have the baby for free.
Mm,
And they give you a stipend.
Mm.
So if
You know,
so we can't say it can't be done because there's
right.
other countries doing it.
Canada got free healthcare, but I want to see if it's actually good free healthcare though.
It's
I
free
heard you gotta
healthcare.
wait a while.
Oh, you have to wait a while for a doctor's appointment or something?
Yeah, I heard it's a waiting
Oh,
line.
But that's what I'm saying though. France, there's countries that's doing it. So why don't we take a playbook from them and look at like, okay,
right,
but for somebody to tell me 25 billion is not enough, that
right.
raises flags for me.
You-
Yes.
we can ask why other countries don't do that, but we all go back to I always think about even the slavery in America. They think that we're free to slave with Abraham Lincoln, but slavery and essentially is stifle capitalism.
It
Nothing,
was. That's
It's all about money, man. That's what we
you
look at.
right.
nothing can stifle capitalism.
And I
You
think
You
know,
right.
what
it,
this administration is about money, bro. That's just
yeah,
what it is. They look at the books and they be like, "You charging what, man? Get that out of here, bro. We're not giving y'all
yeah,
no money." Okay,
yeah,
You
we'll take
right.
the 25.
yeah,
You right.
We was asking for 150. We'll take the
yeah,
Right.
25.
yeah,
You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Because now, like
Right.
I said, you got somebody in there. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm in the middle, but
Me too.
I'm more like, look, man, somebody got to say enough is enough.
yeah.
Yep.
Bro, you
Me
charging us
too.
too much. The price is too high. Find somebody else. We just won't give you the money.
Right.
That's all it is. What
Right.
else
Yeah.
we got? I'm about to get out of here in a little bit, but all right,
Yeah, I was about to say I gotta
let's
get
do
ready
one
to
more. Let's
roll.
do one
So
more thing. Let's talk about
okay, for
let's
sure.
just one more thing. Let's just talk about a week this for truckers. How can they survive the trucking industry this week? Just give a quick point on what you guys think on whether that's in insurance, whether that's in trucker advocate, whatever you think. Just whatever one point that you have that a trucker can survive this week. What should they be doing to
I'll
survive?
let you go, Alante.
The following just for the week. What should a trucker should be doing to survive this week?
I think this tip is going to lead into, it's going to be the tip of the iceberg. Is going to lead into other
Yeah,
weeks as well.
right.
My mentor always told me bad days make bad weeks, and bad weeks make bad months.
Right.
Bad months make bad years, and bad years put you out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
With that being said, every day you need to be figure out how you can get gas cheaper. Gas is something, diesel,
Mm-hmm.
fuel is your most controllable thing you have out of all the uncontrollables. Go to Mudflap, download Mudflap app right now. You can get it on your app store, and you can go there. You can see what's the best place you can get the cheapest fuel, so you can save money. I think those kind of small, tedious savings add up.
Mm-hmm.
mm. I
That's
love it.
it.
I love
You
it.
got CDL.
I love it. For me, I just say know your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Know your worth. Know your worth. Know what the cost of living is in your state, and just demand your worth, man. And I think if a lot of truckers would do that, and if we could stick together, I think we could really make change. But you have a lot of truckers that don't care, or they know their worth and still don't care, which is capitalism. So for me, I just honestly say, just know your worth. Know your worth. Do your research. Do your data. I can't stress this enough. Do your research. Research is key.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk into a room, you want to be the smartest person in the room. Now, don't be big headed. Go in there quiet. Stay humble. But guess what? When you know stuff and you have information, you start firing it off, and people look at you like, wow, I didn't know that, or wow, I didn't know this,
Mm-hmm.
because you're educated. You educated yourself. A
Right.
lot of people don't take time to get on Google and research,
Right.
and research is key. So all I ask is know your worth and do your research.
ChatGPT makes it easy for everybody. Spend that $20 a month, you know everything.
Mm.
Um,
Mm,
the point I have to make is have a plan.
mm,
You get into this trucking situation, whether that's a driver, owner operator, small company, broker, dispatcher, whatever, any part of this business, you're still part of the trucking industry. Have a plan. Why are you doing this? I'll talk about that in my course. The first thing I ask a series of questions, basically saying, what's your why? A lot of people get in this for the money, but what
yes.
happens when that money runs out?
Right.
You have no why. Your
Right.
why can't be money. You have
Right.
to have a plan. What is my plan? My plan is to let this be a stepping stone. My plan is to save up money so I can invest in this. My plan is to, stack up some money and learn how to do insurance so I can maybe start doing insurance. Have a plan.
Right.
A lot of people get into trucking with no plan,
Mm,
and their plan is only money. But
right.
there's gonna be weeks where you're not gonna make money that you think you should be making. So what
Right.
that's gonna mess up, that's gonna mess up your motivation.
Correct.
Have a plan when you get into this. Before you step your foot into your truck, what's your plan?
Mm,
Are you trying to get your CDL to get this other job that you know pays well, but you need your CDL? Are you trying to, run a company? What are you trying to do? But if you don't
right.
have a why, if you don't have a plan, you're gonna fail.
Yes, sir.
So all the truckers, man, all the people that's in this industry, have a reason and have a plan. It helps. I'm telling you.
Yes, sir. That's a good note to end it on, fellas, man. Hey, I love y'all. I missed y'all. And I continue to pray for all of us. And guess what? The sky's the limit. This podcast is gonna be #1 this time next year.
That's put it
Speaking
out
into
there.
existence.
Put
Absolutely.
it out there. It's gonna be #1, man, and we just got to keep getting these episodes in. But everybody that's watching, man, we appreciate y'all. Like we don't edit this, man. I put it together where we all in the same frame, and I put it up. So this is not edited. This is raw. We just talking. We just trying to help everybody out. We just want people that wants to learn. You know, watch these videos, man. We talk about a lot of good stuff, a lot of things that people don't talk about. But just make sure you follow us all on the Instagram, Mr. Marcus Lewis, trucking insurance expert,
Yes, sir.
AV Jackson 28. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Freight Fridays. It's been
Yes,
good. It's been good. You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes, yes, yes.
Got the ego in there.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna
And
talk next
follow
time.
Freight. Oh, nice eagle. And follow Freight Friday on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that's on the
Make
late.
sure
Yeah,
you
that's on the late bloomer
yeah,
too. So yeah, follow
yep.
that.
Late bloomer, follow all of that. All
Follow
of it.
all that, man. But yeah, we're gonna build this into something special, man. We just like I said, we just
Yes.
come from a place to help. We ain't trying to sell y'all no products or anything. We just, come from a place and to help to just give y'all the information because you guys are running on that road. We not on that road, but we see all the information. We just trying to give it to you so y'all can be successful. That's it.
Right. And I love the fact that we did 2 hours today because I don't know about y'all, but I know about me. Whenever I'm on the road, I just hooked up the trailer and I got some miles to knock out.
Hey,
I put a podcast on and it'll take me from one state to the next.
it's great for the
What?
clips, baby. It's great for the clips. I'm
That's
getting the
right.
clips cracking. But
If you
That's
guys
right.
need adequate life insurance, on the road, it's get dangerous. You guys go to extra.
Ayo, yes,
You can go to
sir.
extramilecoverage.com.
Yes, sir.
Me and
Yeah.
Mr. Marcus, we can help you guys with
Yeah,
adequate
we
life
licensed.
insurance
Yeah, I'm licensed too. I'm low key with it. I'm
all
low
over the
key with it.
country.
But
Are we doing this again this weekend, or what are you guys thinking?
man, whenever y'all
We,
want to do it, y'all just let me know.
I'm free. I'm free all weekend. So y'all let me know if
I'm
y'all
cool.
want
We
to do
can
this
do it
again.
again this weekend. That's fine.
I think
And if
Sunday
we
at
do
10
it
is a good
again, we're gonna
time.
have if we do it again, man, we're gonna have so much clips and
Yeah.
just stuff, man. I love it. Let's get it out there. So anytime I know mornings is good for Marcus, so mornings is good for me,
Mhm.
especially Saturday and Sundays. So just let me know.
Yeah. But appreciate everybody, man. I'm about to get out of here. I got to run out of here.
Me
But
too.
yeah, man, this is another one in the books. We out.
We out.